Hello and welcome to Heiser Media's coverage of the 2024 Tyler State Because Charity Tournament in Newtown, Pennsylvania, presented by Infinite Disc and Flagship Financial and the Bucks County Disc Golf Alliance. I'm your host once again, Brett Hensley, and I'm joined in the virtual booth today by Matt Bruder, making his first appearance with Heiser Media. Hey Matt, what's going on, Matt Bruder?
Hey Brett, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a reminder, this is a charity tournament, and we'll be playing today to benefit the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia via their Extra Life campaign. You can see, we'll get right into it. There's the leaders on lead card. We have Alex Turner, who shot a opening round one on the west side -1, followed by Sean Greener at even par, Evan Van Schie at +2, and Greg Wheeler at +3. And we can see the chase card is right behind them, so looking to catch up there. So we're going to start today on Tyler East side. This is round 2 of the final round. We have hole 1. You can see there's a tight gap to hit here off the tee. You want to throw maybe a forehand to make that right bend around the corner, or just throw your straightest disc just to kind of get out in the middle there and then leave yourself with a straight up shot. You can see there's a lot of OB to the left. Marked by the fencing, so you want to stay away from that on your approach shot. So we've got Alex Turner first off the tee here. It looks like he just kind of late released that backhand off to the right in the rough. He's going to be scrambling from in there.
Yeah, and this is Sean here. Looks like he's setting up that forehand you were talking about. A little more of an aggressive play, and he's going to hit a tree right before that gap.
We'll see if Evan can manage a little bit better of a forehand here. Oh, and he also turns it over, and he hits second available there. He's going to be scrambling from pretty far back.
Here's Greg, again following up with the forehand. See if he can execute a little bit better. Okay, looks like it may have filtered to the edge. Might be able to get a look for his par from there.
It doesn't look like anyone's in great position here. This is a par 4, so they'll have a chance to get up and down, but Evan just kind of turned that one over again off to the right in the rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Tyler. It's not a round at Tyler if you're not scrambling. And speaking of scrambling, this was a great out by Greg. He got a lot of good progress there.
That'll certainly give him a chance to get up and down to save his par. I think that was Alex just kind of pitching out from over in there. That's usually all you can do when you get stuck up.
Yeah, this corner, and you can see Sean having to go with the roller here. He's going to get caught up in the tall grass. This corner can be hard to traverse. You have to be careful with that OB on the left. And if you don't trust your disc, you could end up in the rough on the right.
It's like Evan's going to test that OB. Oh, and he gets knocked down, and that's definitely going to be out of bounds. And that's going to be out of bounds pretty early. He's going to have a difficult upshot from there.
Yeah, and you can hear Greg there telling Alex he's out in the middle. That's a tough lie there.
I believe now this is Sean throwing a forehand up and over the OB, trying to give himself a putt, and it looks like he got down there maybe in the circle, so he should have a look there to save his par.
And Evan here, just for pace of play, said he's going to be playing a provisional rather than going down and walking all the way back. If he stayed OB, just kind of at this point hoping that his disc crossed back in bounds down by the green.
That's a smart play by Evan.
Yeah, and he's just going with, think that's just his zone on a nice forehand approach. That should be good. That'll give him a good look at the basket from down the hill.
Here's Greg's upshot after a good recovery shot, trying to save par here. And I think he pulled that one over towards the C pin. Unfortunately, the road is OB. It doesn't look like he quite made it there, so hopefully he'll be able to at least get up and down from there.
Yeah, Alex going with that same forehand approach, just trying to get to a spot where he can collect his 5 and move on to the next hole.
It does look like Greg at least push to an open spot so he can run the putt, and that's a really good bid, just hyzered right over the top of the basket. So he'll have a tap in for bogey.
Yeah, and you can see what Evan's left with here. This is the trick with this green, is if you're too safe, and that's just a great putt. That's a great way to save the triple bogey. You don't want to start with the triple, but better that than a quadruple.
Absolutely. That's a weird way to start your round. Hit a big putt, but have to take a big number, unfortunately. Oh, and give it to him. Wow, what a catch. I didn't think that was going to fall in, but great putt there from Sean to save his par.
And this is to clean up the bogey. Pretty routine putt for Alex. I played a league round with Alex a couple months ago, and he was solid on the green.
Yeah, we got some big putts here to start the round. And I should mention, this is the MA1 field. It's a field of 9 players. So we'll move on to hole 2. It's probably the shortest hole we're going to play today. It's a 166 par 3. It's a really backhand, right-hand hyzer shot that you kind of just want to either push to the right as far as you can on big hyzer, or maybe take this cheater gap here down the middle, which it looks like was executed fairly well there.
Yeah, he might have a little look from that left side of the fairway. Sean going kind of the more traditional route that you'll see here. There's that log pile there on the right that you're kind of aiming to shoot over, and then have your disc fade back towards the pin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that cheater gap on the left, there's quite a few many trees you have to get by. It's a little more open, taking this right-hand, backhand hyzer gap that looks like Greg executed perfectly.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of trouble for such a short hole here, but if you hit your gap, you should be able to get a par at worst, or if you throw it well enough, you can get yourself a look at the 2.
Matt, what are you throwing off the tee here?
I usually go with some sort of approach disc. I've been throwing the K1 Glow Yarn. It's kind of like a zone from Castoplast.
So you go pretty stable. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's look at Greg here trying to make a circle 2 putt, and he cans it. What a putt, man. We're seeing some great putting so far from MA1 lead card. First birdie of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even 2 full holes in, and we've already got 3 highlight putts. And Evan, he's a solid putter as well. I can imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of that from him today.
Absolutely. So it looks like we're going to be having 3 birdies on hole 2, which is what you'd expect from lead card on the shortest hole on the course. And Alex will take his par. Really no harm there. You just don't want to take a bogey on this one.
Yeah, and I got to say, hole 2 was tied for the easiest hole on this round, and there were no bogeys in the field, which is always good to see.
Yeah, now we're going to come to a much harder hole here, a par 4, 457 feet. You have to hit a tunnel gap right off the tee, so you really need to control your drive to get it to land on the fairway. It's a pretty short par 4, but it's a tough putt. You can see that the basket is placed up on that pedestal there in the B position. So really, you just kind of want to get something out here in the middle. You can throw a slow disc. It's like we're going to see a forehand here out of Sean. I didn't see it. It looked like he had it lined up in the middle of the gap, and hopefully it just kind of sat down on the fairway for him.
Yeah, this can be a tricky hole, especially when you're throwing faster discs. You see Greg here going with the backhand. He's getting some nice turn out of it. That's going to get a nice forward finish. That's really your ideal spot, really a solid landing zone for this hole.
Absolutely. You really don't need to bite off a lot of distance. Well played there by Greg. Looks like Evan's rounding up a big forehand. He's trying to maybe get an eagle look at this. That's a mash. If it doesn't fade out too hard right, he should be pretty far down the fairway.
Yeah, and again, the backhand here, we'll see Alex. Looks like a mid, just getting some nice slow turn. And again, that forward finish. The trap with the backhand here is if you end up turning it over too much to stay out of the OB, you can end up in those bushes, but it's good to see that these guys making the proper adjustments on these shots.
Absolutely. We'll see there's Left with a little bit of an upshot here, but it looks like that's tracking towards the green. It does slope off down to the right, but he should still have an uphill look, hopefully about circle's edge for birdie there.
This is a nice turning shot from Greg. That's just
Beautiful.
going to sit down right on the green nicely.
Thank you.
Sean has a little chip up, hyzer chip to the basket here. And that's sat nicely for him right on the green.
Yeah, and you can see this is where Evan's drive ended up. Evan's got a pretty big forehand, so he's actually down pretty close to the green here to pitch out here.
Yeah, well done there by Evan. That makes the hole a lot easier when you can bite off that much distance. And here's that birdie putt from down the hill, I believe, and looks like it tickled chains, but that's going to be a sizable comebacker.
And not exactly a comebacker you want. And that's a great putt from Greg, just committing to it. If you hit the basket, you can't go down the hill, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a risk of rollaways and certainly going past the basket down the hill. Evan's going to take his time on this with the elevated basket, and he's in the chains there. Good recovery from Evan after that triple bogey on hole 1, coming back with a couple birdies.
Yeah, definitely. It's tough to start your round like that, but it's good to know that you can bounce back and kind of gain those strokes back as quickly as you lost them.
Absolutely. And Alex there, he was confident on that comeback putt. No trouble for him. And he's staying clean. He's keeping the lead here, tied with Sean, who's tapping in for his par as well. And Evan and Greg will be right behind there at +2 and +3 through 3 holes. So let's check in on the leaderboard. What do you see here, Matt?
Well, Greg's making some moves up the leaderboard, you know, taking advantage of the little slip up by Evan on hole 1. We'll see if he can keep chasing our leaders.
Absolutely. We're in for a good run here, I think. We're off to hole 4. Another short par 4, only 303 feet. That's probably as the crow flies. You can see it. There's a sharp bend to the right after the tee shot here. And the basket is located in a really precarious spot. So if you have a long putt, you're really in danger of possibly rolling all the way down that hill. And I think anyone who's played Tyler has probably put a disc or two down that hill. So we'll start off here with Greg. And common mistake here, you just kind of, you ripped it to the right, turned it over, you hit a tree, you're going to end up down the hill, and he's going to have to look to maybe pitch back up or maybe play the hillside. It's going to be a tough choice.
Yeah, we'll see. And it looks like Evan might be joining him down there. It's tricky because, yeah, obviously the safe play is to pitch up, but you're already halfway to the pin getting kicked down the hill, so it's kind of a risk-reward situation from down there.
There's an aggressive forehand trying to make the corner. I couldn't see where that finished. It looked like it made the initial gaps at least, so even if he's in a bad spot, he should still be able to get a 4.
And that's a tough mistake from Alex. He's been pretty clean thus far. But this is a tricky hole. He's headed over into that rough on the right. We'll see what he's got from over there.
Matt, do you get aggressive on this tee shot trying to make the right turn?
Absolutely not. I throw putter off the tee, and if it gets a little bit around the bend, great. If not, I'm playing it safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I play the same way. You really don't need to bite off a ton of distance and make the corner. I like throwing that upshot turnover, and you can see that. I think that was either Sean or Alex coming up from the bottom of the hill there. And you can see Greg was able to at least pitch up back onto the fairway. He's right by the A position. You can see it there, the yellow marker.
Yeah, and that'll give him a circle 2 look at his par. But again, you were talking about this green. It's very steep, and it's not a very big green. So you're gonna want to weigh your options when you're looking at the basket from that far.
Yeah, absolutely. No one's really getting into birdie range here. Oh,
Wow.
Another fantastic putt to save the par by Alex. That's fantastic. After going down the hill, coming back up.
Yeah, that's a great 4, especially considering where his drive, the little progress he got off the tee. That's just a an outstanding par save.
Yeah, and there's just a layup there from Sean. You can't really run that putt when you're facing the hill there. You only have about 15 feet of room past the basket. Oh, and Evan cans another great putt. He's able to birdie from somewhat out of position, but amazing birdie there from Evan.
Yeah, that is outstanding. He was very much out of position down that hill and able to, even if you're able to give yourself a look at all from down there, it's a miracle. So being able to convert, that's a great bounce back. He's already erased that triple bogey, and we're only 4 holes in.
Yeah, great start there from Evan on the second, third, and fourth holes. So now we're getting to the fifth. It's a 424-foot par 3. They moved the tee pad back here recently, so it definitely increased the distance. One of the tougher par 3s on this layout. I think you really need a forehand to access this one, because you can see you kind of want to throw your shot straight between those two trees and then let it fade to the right. So you can see Evan's trying to execute. He's a little early. There is OB on the right side road. I didn't see a graphic, so hopefully he's safe over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of rough over there that can grab your disc and keep you from going in the road. This is more ideally what you're looking for with the forehand, something that pushes forward and then gets a little bit of a later, softer fade towards the basket.
That's a fantastic forehand right there. And we'll see Alex playing the backhand. I do try this. I throw backhands on this, and I try that same line. Just go into the right of that tree. It does fade out left, but it should give him a long putt. And that's really all you can kind of do with a backhand on this hole for the most part.
Yeah, and Greg looks a little early out of his hand. I don't think that's going to make it to the out of bounds, but it's going to be a tough scramble from there to grab his 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of rough on that right side, even past that large tree on the right. So you can see he's got to throw underneath these branches and over this down tree. Looks like he executed it very well. And that's going to scoot up there for a putt.
And Evan's got a bit of a window here. Let's see if he can manufacture something.
Oh, solid bid there from Alex, giving it a little bit of run. See, he got to a really good spot with the backhand. That's kind of the best you can kind of hope for with the backhand. Good comeback putt there to save par. We still haven't gotten to Sean's drive yet, I don't think.
I think that's him under the basket.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. See, I know this says 424, but I feel like it probably isn't quite that far, although that is a very impressive drive from Sean.
Yeah, really the shape you need on this hole. It's an impressive shot because it's a combination of a little bit of distance and some touch as well, because this is a pretty fast green, and it's easy to land yourself far from the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. Very guarded green as well. You can hit any of those trees even on your upshot. You can see Evan there collecting his par. It's like everyone played this hole fairly well. You know, we're going to see a nice little tap-in park job birdie here from Sean. Pars for the rest of the group. So no damage on this hole.
Yeah, definitely one you'd like to get.
Absolutely.
But you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably, it plays a little harder probably than most holes on this layout. I think hole 6 here from long, probably another difficult par 3, 322 feet. You got to throw something that's going to kind of stay up, backhand, right hand hyzer, stay high. And that was just pulled out of his hand a little bit. You got to get the elevation right. You got to get the angle right, and you got to let it sail to the left. So maybe something a little bit more stable.
Yeah, and Evan making that adjustment, going a little more inside. But he catches that tree right before the gap. There's that one pesky tree by the A-pin that you really want to go around or in front of. And if you hit it, definitely stops your progress.
Looks like Alex went flat, and he did make the right side of that tree, so he'll probably have some sort of putt from there.
Greg pushed it a little straight. That's going to be in that long rough. Might have an up and down.
Yeah, you could hear him asking for the disc to turn there. He needed a little bit more right side movement, and we'll have a couple up shots here to the green.
And again, this is one that you're not really looking for the 2. You just want to get your 3 and move on. This did play as one of the harder holes today, with no birdies in the field.
Thank you.
There's a good upshot there by Evan. Should be able to get his par. And even Alex here, who had probably the best drive of the bunch, he's still coming up pretty short.
And that's a nice out by Sean. Again, you can't really get too aggressive on these shots, so just being able to get up and down, tap out the 4.
See if Greg can save his par here with another great putt. Oh, and it looked like it just right off the front of the basket there. Good bid by Greg.
Yeah, we've seen some great putts from this card. Again, only 6 holes in, and we've got ourselves a few highlights already.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the kind of putting you want to see in the MA1 field. And Greg will drop a stroke here to Evan.
Yeah, and like you're saying about putting, it's a big difference maker in this field. If you're throwing well but you're not putting well, can't score out here at Tyler.
Let's check in on the leaderboard through 6 holes. We've got Alex still on the top, or tied at the top with Sean now at both -1. Evan and Greg 2 and 4 back. We got Dale making a move from Chase Card at +5. So it looks like it's really anyone's game to this point. We've got 3 holes left here on the front 9. This is hole 7, 238 feet, par 3. It's in the B position, which is, you can see the C there is in a little more precarious spot, but the B is pushed forward a little bit. So you can certainly run this one if there's a little bit more room. So we'll see Evan's going to throw a flip-up forehand here. He moved it a little to the left, but it fights up there, and it looks like he's parked. Great shot by Evan.
Yeah, and Alex, again, relying on that backhand. He's got good control with these backhand turnover shots, and he puts this right up the middle. That'll be a short putt for his birdie.
Another great shot there. See, Sean's going forehand. He gets by that tree, and that should put him about circle's edge there for his birdie. So 3 really good drives. Let's see if Greg can follow suit.
Hold it. Don't do it now. Come back.
A little late out of his hand.
Right.
Stay safe.
He's safe at least. Yeah, that road comes into play pretty quickly if you turn one over.
He's got to look here. He's just going to lay it up for his par. That's smart.
Yeah, good choice. It's a tough one to run. Certainly roll away, roll back down the hill. See, Sean's going to step this one, and he's just over top. He gave it a good bid, and luckily that tree's there to save him from going any further.
Yeah, and as Alex taps out his 2, you can see this B position is very precariously placed right at the top of this slope. So if you go past the basket too high, there's a good chance you end up in the creek, or at least out of bounds deep of the C-pin.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a tricky green with all the roots there as well.
Right.
And great tap in there from Evan to get his birdie. It's like he's going to collect a CTP for the moment.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough CTP to beat.
No doubt. And Sean will take the par. Lead card doing really well on hole 7 there. So we'll move on to hole 8, 359-foot par 3. This one in the B position, you can see it's pushed over to these big rocks. So you just really want to throw something straight down the middle. If you can push down the hill, go for it. If not, you're going to be chipping up for your 3. You can see the water on the right. That's all out of bounds. So you really want to stay away from turning something over here. And it looks like Evan's got this turned over, and Luckily, it just sat. You see a lot of those kick hard right and into the water, so he should be able to save his par from there.
Looks like Alex is playing this a little safer here, just something that'll hyzer out left, maybe give himself a little hyzer backhand approach down to the green. I see a lot of people doing that just to secure the safe 3 and not go out of bounds.
Absolutely. That is my play all day on this hole. Just get it over to the left. If you don't have the arm to get all the way down there, there's really no sense in trying to force something and, potentially go an OB. You see Greg following suit, just kind of fading off to the left.
Sean appears to be going a little more aggressive, flexing a backhand. Looks like he's down the hill. That's a really good shot. The flex backhand with the overstable driver, just getting himself, match the shape of the fairway and getting himself down the hill.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of trust placing on that disc there and hitting the angle right. You could see Greg's just going right over the A-pin, and he'll fade out left and hopefully end up with a putt from there.
And Evan's going to catch an early limb on his approach.
Yeah, he pushed the ceiling there a little too high, unfortunately. That's going to be a tough putt. You can see he can pitch down the road. Oh, no, and it went to the right, unfortunately. And he probably doesn't even know that that happened because you can't even see the upshot from up there.
Yeah, and Evan almost banks it in with a trick shot, but as if this green isn't hard enough to access. Once you get down there, it doesn't look like it, but there's actually a pretty good chance of getting a rollaway here. And another near throw in from Sean. Just these guys are running the basket left and right here.
Sean almost ringing up the birdie after a great drive. And you can see Alex, unfortunately, with that rollaway is going to be taking a bogey, even though he played it very safe off to the left.
This is what Greg is left with for par. And that's a tricky putt. He's probably 50 feet at least, and going through those trees, there's really not much there.
Yeah, that was unfortunate after his upshot because it looked like it was fading out in time, but he pushed it a little too deep into the rough there. So he'll be carding his bogey, dropping another stroke, unfortunately. I think we're going to have pars, with the exception of Evan taking a bogey. So Evan and Greg are going to fall back. Alex also bogeyed, unfortunately. So hole 8 certainly showing its teeth. So let's move on to the last hole, hole 9 on our front 9 here, 487-foot par 4. You can see there's a big hill to get over off of the tee, so you want to throw your right-hand backhand that's fading out left. You want to get something high so you can try and get it up the hill, if not, maybe to the bottom or the middle of the hill there. And then your upshot needs to basically just kind of be straight in the air and landing just kind of in the middle where the B pin is. So you can see there's this tree branch you have to throw under, so you can't throw it too high. You can see Alex, or Sean rather, executing that shot fairly well. He should probably be in about the middle of the hill, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and Evan going for this forehand. It's a really aggressive play that he likes to do. And when he pulls off the angle right, he gets a lot of distance and a lot of progress down that fairway.
Yeah, trying to make the top of the hill with that play. And you can see another lower backhand. I really think if you can get to just the base of the hill where you have really good footing, you can still get up and down to the B pin. So you don't necessarily need to make the top of the hill, when it's in B.
Yeah, and Greg is going to find himself off to the left here. That can be trouble. We'll see if he has a look to get out to at least to the bottom of the hill, like you said.
Yeah, Greg and Evan are going to be scrambling here out of position. Let's see if Evan looks like he's going to maybe try and get a little aggressive here, or no, just pitching up to the hill. So looks like he gets to the middle of the hill, so he should have a chance to get up and down to save his par.
Greg's going a little more aggressive than Evan. Getting some nice distance up the hill with that flex forehand. We'll see what he has from up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Good getting up the hill there from that far back. So hopefully he'll have an out from the woods there. You can see now Alex making the middle of the hill. It looks like he was able to push that up with a forehand to probably hopefully get on the green there for a birdie look.
Evan in a similar spot to Alex, a little higher. Should have a look at the pin from there. Might be circle's edge, but he'll be looking at it.
And here's Sean's drive. Looks like he went left on the hill, but he's got a forehand approach here, and he's going to scoot up right to the log. So that log's right about where the circle's edge is, so he should have a nice look there for his birdie.
And this is Greg's approach. Just going to put it up just outside the bullseye and collect his par.
Yeah, easy out there from Greg. Good par save considering where he was. Now let's see. Evan's going to have a chance here to make his putt, but he goes over, unfortunately. I think Evan, you know, it's a good putter. He probably expects to make those putts.
And Sean, this is his birdie look. And he converts. I got to say, I've been seeing these floppy rubber Elevation discs, and you can see on his shirt that he's sponsored by Elevation. It's fascinating to see, you know, that type of disc being used on a course like this, where you've got rollaways and roots and all sorts of trouble. He seems to be having some success with those type of discs out here.
Yeah, good call, Matt. I was going to say it definitely looked like one of those Elevation discs on a few of those putts. And Evan, unfortunately, is going to card the bogey. Wasn't able to save from out of position.
Par save. No?
Oh, and Greg, a little unintentional razz towards Evan.
Yeah.
Congratulated him on his par.
You know, they both ended up kind of in a similar position off the tee. And, you know, honest mistake by Greg, because it looked like they both executed good shots coming up. But then, unfortunately, Evan wasn't able to make the putt.
And this is Alex's tap-in 3.
Yeah, so the top of the card, making it look easy, taking some birdies, and Evan and Greg are going to have some ground to make up, taking a par and a bogey there, respectively. So we'll be looking to bounce back on the back 9 that'll be coming up. So we've got Alex and Sean at the top of the leaderboard at -2 each, Evan in 3rd place at +3, and Greg at +5. So let's take a look at the leaderboard. Matt, what do you see?
Looks like our leaders are doing their job. They're holding the line up there at the top 4. And Dale as well. Trying to sneak up on Greg, but it looks like it's a 2-horse race at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see what happens. And speaking of sponsors, we're sponsored by Elevation Discs, so very timely call out there on a couple of those putts. And just as a reminder, this tournament is a charity tournament, and it's sponsored to benefit CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, as well as Extra Life. And you can use the link at the bottom to help out with the cause. And tune in to Heiser Media for the back 9. And